There was a lot to like this week. I particularly found it humorous. Cliff's angry ideas for what he'll do if he ever catches up to Niles after Niles ejected him out into space last week and sent him crashing through a sign, which we got another brief appearance of the animal, vegetable, mineral man. Love the recurring gags on this show. So funny. But his idea was to take a dump down Niles' throat, which is quite an understandable idea for him to have at this moment, but also a dumb one. But because he can't take a dump, period, being a robot. However, Cliff is far from the only one having dumb ideas this week, as the entire group finds themselves having dumb ideas after they are infected by scants, which are humanoid microscopic pests that infect people so that they can feed off a chemical their brains give off when they have dumb ideas. Yes, it's another typical episode of Doom Patrol. Loopy, nonsensical fun. And before I get into my thoughts with spoilers, if you are interested in seeing my upcoming reviews of Doom Patrol, Perry Mason, and other upcoming shows, please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you give me a like, I'd really appreciate that too. So, getting into my thoughts with spoilers. I loved a lot of the things that happened this episode. Although a lot of people think the show is funny, I very, very rarely find myself belly laughing while I watch it. But this week, I belly laughed a lot, and I think that it was because I really do find the concept of people just doing whatever dumb thing comes into their head to be quite hilarious. Among the dumb things that we saw, the ones that I found the funniest was the scene where Larry and Flip try to sneak into the hospital in a disguise and to see his grandson. And I thought that scene was hilarious, cracked up laughing during it. I also thought the scenes where they were getting ready to perform surgery on Roni were funny. And, you know, there were just a lot of funny scenes with the group just doing whatever dumb thing came into their head. And it took me a little while to pick up on what was going on. I had read the plot synopsis, but I kind of forgot that was what was going to happen. So it's kind of funny, and I wonder if while you were watching, if there was a moment when you realized what was going on, what that moment was. It was relatively early for me, but it probably took me longer to figure it out than it should have. Among the things that happened, Cyborg tells Roni that he loves her and proposes to her, which creates some potential ramifications for their relationship after they eventually kill the Scant Queen, which ends the contamination. But Roni has taken some of the powerful chemical that the Scants were collecting, and it'll be interesting to see in upcoming weeks what she intends to do with it. Miranda was the one controlling Jane's body this week, and apparently so far I haven't really understood what they're going for with this character. It seems as though to some extent she's just a less unpersonable version of Jane, but it also seems as though she may have negative agenda, as Scarlet Harlot has gone missing in the underground, and we find out that her station is closed, which has some serious implications for upcoming weeks. I found the scenes with Cliff this episode to be quite funny. They were very much a detour. I liked that they had that person come up and have him give shout outs to people on his channel. The way that Brendan Fraser delivered those lines was priceless. I think that he really just throws himself into this role with a gusto, and I have really just admired the voice performance. I think he just imbues Robot Man with a tremendous amount of personality, and the humor of this episode from his character in particular got me laughing quite a bit. We had another appearance from Willoughby Kipling and also from the Beard Hunter. The Beard Hunter appearance was relatively brief, but again got a good gag in how he had painted his front white in order to hide from the Scants as they were inside the white painting. And of course, this another one of those scenes that had me cracking up with laughter was when Cyborg and Larry Trainer approached the Scants initially and tell them that they've come to kill their queen. That was just a hilarious moment. Eventually, of course, Miranda uses her power. She's unaffected by the dumb ideas, apparently, and she uses the different personalities' powers to kill the Scants, showing that she's a far more lethal user of these powers than Jane is. But as we said, she seems to have a potentially harmful agenda, so it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Rita had a interesting character arc this episode as she starts to deal with her mommy issues by interacting with the Cloverton beekeeper, played by Avis Marie Barnes, and I felt like these characters had good chemistry. I'm not really familiar with Avis Marie Barnes as an actress, but given her work on this episode, I'd say she's largely very talented. I felt like she had a very, very good and natural dynamic with Rita, and they had to drink a lot of beer to get there, but they did get there. And I appreciated that. I think she was able to help Rita get perspective on what her mother might have been feeling as she was trying to do what was best for her daughter, even though she may have unwittingly traumatized her during the process. It was also interesting to see, as we continue the themes of parenthood, that Clara showed up at the end of this episode to see her father, Cliff, and it'll be interesting to see their interactions in the next couple episodes, but it was interesting because Cliff spent the whole episode just yelling and raging at Niles for what he did at the end of last episode, and for him to realize that Niles had just basically come clean to Cliff's daughter about all the terrible things that he had done to Cliff, and that has brought Clara back into Cliff's life. It's an interesting arc for Cliff as well this episode, to find out that the person he's been raging against has done this kind thing for him. It doesn't make things right, obviously, but it is a very, very moving gesture, I would say. We also got to see Rita save a civilian who was being robbed at gunpoint, and it seems that her new superhero personality is going to be the beekeeper, and that may be an outfit that she's going to wear going forward as she fights crime. But it was interesting to see how her personal catharsis has led her to this point where she can actually help others. Niles this week went searching for Dorothy's mother. He didn't find her, but he did find the candle maker in the north, and he found out that Dorothy's mother's ancestors were the ones who created the candle maker. And of course the question is why? But at the end of this episode, Willoughby Kipling showed up to talk to Niles, and it seems that Niles has decided to potentially kill Dorothy. So that's pretty disturbing. I feel like this twist would have been stronger if Dorothy had actually appeared in this episode. She didn't really have any screen time, I don't think, but if she did, it was very, very minimal. But next week we see her running from the candle maker in the woods in the teaser for that episode. So again, only 2 episodes left in the season from what I have read. So it'll be interesting to see how they wrap up. I know that they were supposed to get an additional episode, but COVID-19 got in the way of shooting that. So it'll be interesting to see if this has a complete or relatively complete ending the way season 1 did, or if things kind of end on kind of an abrupt note. I hope that it's the former and not the latter. I'm getting tired of seasons ending on this really, really abrupt note and not giving the viewer any kind of lasting satisfaction. I don't mind cliffhangers if they just blow my mind and make me really, really excited for what comes next, but when they're pushing payoffs further down the road, that annoys me, and that's been something that's really been the biggest thing keeping me from recommending shows to people lately is, does the end of the season give the viewers payoff? I don't mind cliffhangers, but there has to be a payoff for viewers. So let me know what you thought about this episode, Dumb Patrol, in the comments. Subscribe now, and as always, you can watch more videos right now.